Yeah, no.
I know you've had, like, sometimes at night you used to stay up at night thinking about, like, how I'm gonna do this, how I'm gonna do that, da 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 da. Has this changed your perspective and worrying at all, or are you still worrying, or you know what I'm saying?
I stopped worrying as much even before the layoff. Because after I went through that, whole, spill with depression and stuff like that, once I got to a healthier space, I had just made up in my mind that I wasn't gonna let tomorrow govern today. So I just started taking days one day at a time, so that I wasn't so far ahead of myself, because a lot of the reason why I was staying up at night was because I was trying to figure out tomorrow instead of, worry about today. And it been plenty. I'm talking about, we being honest right now, like, it's been plenty of nights being a husband and a father and trying to do this thing where I'm laying in the bed looking at the ceiling with tears in my eyes, figuring out how I'm gonna take care of tomorrow, because there's so much stuff that I want to do for them because of how much I hang on my hat on that situation. So when you like back when people always used to joke and say, like, ignorance is bliss and stuff like that, and I really did not understand that. When you ignorant, you don't understand the concept of ignorance is bliss. Until you start to get more information, and until you start to learn, until you become aware of something, and then that changed everything. When I was financially illiterate, I was fine. I thought my life was great. I thought my life was great. When I was financially illiterate, I thought my life was great, and I treated my family like that, my marriage like that, or whatever it was. And it wasn't until I got around other people who are financially literate, and I started learning more about what is necessary to live and like what the future looks like, that a mirror was in my face, and I realized that I didn't really have nothing that I thought that I was supposed to have. And we had met with a financial advisor one time. My frat brother that my dad connected me with was a financial advisor, so he set up a meeting with me and Sharita to just talk about finances and stuff. And I used to be like, oh, finance is straight, because in my mind everything was taken care of. The bills was being paid, or all, like, because everything was, you know what I'm saying, like none of this future stuff was taken care of, like none of that. So then we met with a financial advisor, and I'm sitting there with her, and you could imagine the pride I feel, because I feel like I'm taking care of my family. You know what I'm saying? So
you ain't doing nothing.
Ain't doing nothing. Nothing. It crushed me, bro. And it took all of me to hold my composure in the meeting, because the more he talked, the more I started to realize how much I did not have it together. And my wife was sitting there listening to him talk about how much we don't have it together. And then me taking that, it's like, it's my responsibility to make sure my family is going in the right direction. And then this man is sitting on the other side of his table basically telling me, like, you ain't doing what you should be doing to take, your family where they're supposed to be headed. And that, granted, was eye-opening and changed, my life, because it made me aware of what I needed to do to make those changes. But in that moment, there are fewer times in my life where I felt lower than I felt in that space, because of what he was, putting in my face. And by the time we got done, I realized, you know how the Bible says a good man will leave an inheritance for his grandchildren's grandchildren. And in that moment, I realized that the only way that my family was being sustained was because I was living. And if I was to die, they would have nothing. I didn't even have life insurance. We didn't have no money in our savings account. We didn't even have a savings account, bro. Like, I was just paying bills, like just making money, paying. We didn't even have a savings account. We didn't have none of that stuff going on. Wasn't really using the 401k, right? Had no investments. Like, it was just a bunch of things that we weren't doing, that I thought that we would make it happen or whatever it was. So coming into this knowledge and understanding of what is necessary, I started adding this pressure to my life to catch up to where I felt like we should have been, based on the missteps that I made early on in marriage or whatever. So then that's when I say I'm sitting in the bed in the middle of the night trying to figure out how to take care of tomorrow, because now I'm aware of all these things that we're supposed to have. And you're like, how am I going to do all that? Like, how am I going to take care of these things? My kids getting older, college is around the corner. I got to worry about that. I'm getting older. I got to worry about retirement. I'm watching my parents get older. I got to deal with that. Bills, you got to take care of bills and all these other types of things. So then you sitting there like, how am I going to do all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So then you start worrying. And that's where a lot of my worry was coming from. Not because I didn't have faith that God could take care of it. It was just what is my plan for doing the work? You say faith without works is dead. And I know it's not just going to fall to me in some way. Like, can he orchestrate? Absolutely. But there's a work that I'm going to have to do. So now I'm sitting there like, well, what is the work that I'm going to do? So, figuring that stuff out. So just priding myself on it. And Sharita knows that too. And that was why she, even in getting the news, she later revealed to me that she was not worried. Not because she wasn't worried that I didn't have a job, but she's like, ever since we've been married, she knows that there's nothing that I wouldn't do to make sure that the family is straight. So she never worried about me not having a job because she knew that I would do whatever it took to make sure that they had whatever they needed. And that gave me relief, because just the fact that she believed in me that much to know that I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to take care of them was just like, all right, cool. Yeah, like I can chill a little bit. So then, I think honestly, because of how I handled the situation, things happened a lot faster for me with getting the job, because I know what's going on in the world. People getting laid off at very fast rates, because of the quote unquote pending recession and a bunch of other things that are going on. And people have been out here. There's people that have been searching for a job for a year. Applying, getting denied, can't even get an interview. Right. And I'm watching other people go through that experience, watching other men who are husbands and got, families to take care of and things like that. So in that moment, honestly, to me, I didn't even go to thinking God gonna take care of me and supply. I literally was just like, all right, well, at least I know for a couple months I ain't gonna have no job. I had just settled in my mind
that I ain't gonna have no job.
Because I'm like, I know what's going on, out here. So part of my thought process and why I wasn't acting as quickly with this is because I don't even know how long this interview process is gonna take. Like, you're interested, but when is, I didn't even have those answers to that yet. So I'm like, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna get this bread now because I got stuff to do. So I had already just accepted it. So I mean, the only reason I feel like this is relevant to what we talking about now is because it is, crazy out here, and I know what it feels like to be a husband or just a man in general and be responsible for people and things and have kids and responsibilities, and you're trying to do the best that you can, and it's just not shaking for you.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's just like I can relate to that feeling, and I know it happened quickly for me. But I know there's some other people it's not happening as quickly for. And I was just talking to my little brother about this because he's been trying to find a job since he graduated, and it has not been going the way that he would expect it. And he keeps applying for things, and it's been making him discouraged because he applies and he doesn't even get the interview. He just gets an email saying, we decide to go in a different direction. And he's feeling like, how many times do I need to get rejected before I get a job or before I do? And I'm like, and I'll be asking, I'm like, how many jobs have you applied for? He'd be like 6. I'm like, today?
That's
no. I was like, so he said he was like 6. I was like, today? And he was like, nah, 6. I'm like,
bro.
I said, do you want a job? I'm like, do you want a job? And he like, yeah. I'm like, well, if you only have applied for 6 jobs, you don't want no job. I'm like, you literally got to apply for 6 to 8 jobs a day. While you're looking for a job if you want a job. So then, work with him to try to.
What did he say when you told him that?
He couldn't believe what I was saying. Like, I tried to explain it to him.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kids leave college and they don't have that knowledge.
Yeah.
Because they think like, I have a degree, I should be able to just get a job. And it's like, it's not about degrees. Like, the economy is wild, business going on crazy. So working with him to like understand what businesses are looking for in this time, what the economy means, like how things work and stuff like that, and kind of just painting a better picture for him, helping him redo his resume so that's formatted for what he's trying to do and stuff like that. But he recently had an interview with the Indiana Fever because he wants to do sports communication and stuff like that. So he had an interview with the Fever. He didn't get the job at the moment, but he did at least get the interview. He did get the call. So then to me, talking to him like, all right, at least you know that what's on paper is working now because you were able to get the interview. So, like, keep out or whatever. So I would give men the same advice, honestly, right now. Women in general, because I know some ladies listen to this as well. If you're in that situation, keep pushing.
Yeah, have to.
Like, keep your head up. I know that it's rough. I know that it is. I know that it's hard. I know that it's discouraging to keep applying to have to do 4 interviews and not get the job, or to apply for 20 jobs and get rejected every single. But you have to keep doing it.
You got
to keep doing it. And then like just take some of those points, like some of the things that I talked about in past or just today, as far as like learning how to articulate yourself when you get to that interview, formatting your resume so that it speaks on your behalf before someone can get in your, get in someone's face and stuff like that. And then leverage your network. I'll tell you that too, about relationships and not burning bridges and stuff like that. I think if I had not handled the situation the way that I handled it, he wouldn't have definitely reached out to those.
And in concept, that could be the work, right? We talked about faith without works is dead. The work, you could have done the work months ago for him to see something in you. Now you got to rely on faith for this door to open. So you could have done the work unbeknownst to you, because I know you was like, you were thinking about, okay, I got to get the work. The work was done. You showcased something that he saw something, even though you all had to cut ties, that you would be a good fit in doing somewhere else. So a lot of times that can be applied, but we don't necessarily think about it in that kind of concept. And the fact too, like, because you mentioned, you think a lot about tomorrow. Tomorrow's the only thing that never comes. We could talk about yesterday. We could talk about today. But when do you get to tomorrow? You don't, because you're always living in today.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, tomorrow never comes, bro.
Yeah.
Like ever. But we got to think about today, and we can talk about yesterday, but tomorrow never comes.
Yeah. I feel you on that. I think
so. That's how, because I really don't. Obviously, like I said, I've suffered, loss and layoffs and like those kind of things in the past. But an OG told me that. He was like, bro, you worried about tomorrow? That you never go see tomorrow. You might as well do that. Today, because you ain't got nothing to talk about but yesterday and today. Tomorrow never comes.
That's good stuff. And you touched on it, but I want to acknowledge it. You kept your composure. I think if you did not keep your composure, I don't know what would have happened. If
Never know.
Well, I passed the test.
Yeah,
I passed it. No, for real. I passed. I legit. I just had this conversation with Sharita the other day. I have been failing the same test for a very long time. And most of the time it is about my attitude and my response to things. It is legitimately how I respond to things that happen to me. I have been failing that test for as long as I can remember. Because when something happens to me, I don't care what your reason it is. You're gonna get this response. Right. You're gonna feel it however. And I've been down on the hill of I want to be able to respond how I want to respond. I talk about my anger and attitude all the time. It is a part of me. As someone who has dealt with anger, it is not something that goes away. You just learn how to deal with it. You learn how to manage it. It's something that's connected to me for life. And I have to navigate giving full vent to it, or how far. And I've always failed that test because I will just, and I think in this moment, God worked quickly for me because I passed the test, because I did not give full vent to what I was feeling. So he, honored me in that way.
Melvin is definitely my greatest work.
It ain't you. It ain't you.
It's my greatest work.
I don't like how y'all take
it. I'm telling you.
Yo, it's your boy T. Roy, aka your neighborhood hope dealer. If you need some hope, I got some you can borrow. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. And I'm serious. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. One of the things you can help us do right now is get the word out about the Manly Deeds podcast. Why do you tap in? Why are you listening? Because you enjoy the content. And you know what? Your friends are going to enjoy it too. So make sure you follow us. Make sure you're talking about us. Make sure you're liking our post and everything we do. We really appreciate your support in that matter. And I'm out.